The Young and the Restless spoilers, full the 16th of July, 2026. Welcome back to our channel, soap fans. It is a beautiful Wednesday, and we have an absolute mountain of Genoa City drama to unpack today. Things are getting so chaotic I can barely keep my notes straight, but we are going to get through it together. Let's not waste any more time and jump right into the madness. So, let's start with Nikki and Victor. Because honestly, I am so tired of Victor Newman right now. I really am. You guys know I've defended the mustache in the past. Sometimes his ruthless business moves are exactly what this show needs to keep things spicy. But right now, he is just being a monster. And I don't use that word lightly. In the Wednesday, July 15 episode, we are going to see a massive confrontation between Victor and Nikki. And it all starts at Crimson Lights. Because of course it does. Everyone finds out life-altering news at the coffee shop. It is practically a Genoa City tradition at this point. Nikki is sitting there with Victoria. They are probably talking about Nikki's health. Because, let's be real, Nikki has been suffering from these terrifying, blinding headaches for weeks now. She thinks she is dying. She literally thinks she is at the end of her life. And Victor, instead of being a supportive husband, has been drugging her. He convinced her to sign what she thought was a medical power of attorney. But hidden in that dense legal jargon was a transfer of all her personal Newman Enterprises shares into a trust that he completely controls. He is liquidating her assets while she is heavily sedated. It is sick. It is actually sick. She is trusting him with her life, and he is robbing her legacy before she even takes her last breath. But anyway, Nikki and Victoria are at the coffee house, trying to make sense of everything, and in walks Kyle Abbott. And Kyle just drops an absolute bomb on them. He tells Nikki exactly what has been going on with his parents. He tells her about Patty Williams' bloody rampage. And it is bloody, you guys. Patty literally stabbed Jack Abbott in the stomach. She plunged a knife into him. And if that wasn't enough, she injected Diane with some kind of mystery drug right in the neck. A needle right in the neck. Just pure psycho behavior. And Nikki is horrified because despite all the bad blood, despite the fact that Nikki and Diane absolutely hate each other and have been rivals for decades, Nikki still cares about Jack. She will always care about Jack. They have so much history together. They have loved each other, fought each other, and saved each other more times than I can count. So Nikki immediately goes to confront Victor because she knows Victor is somehow tied up in this mess. He brought Patty back into their orbit, or at least he was using the chaos of Patty's return to his advantage. He has been stoking the fires of this Abbott and Newman feud for months, pushing everyone to the brink. Nikki walks in, probably shaking, probably feeling dizzy and nauseous from her severe headaches, and she just unleashes on him. She screams at him for enabling this absolute lunatic. She blames him for the fact that Jack is bleeding out in a hospital bed and Diane was almost killed by a madwoman. And what does Victor do? Does he apologize? Does he show an ounce of remorse or empathy for the mother of his children? Of course not. He is Victor Newman. He turns it around on her. He accuses Nikki of betrayal? Yes, you heard that right. He accuses her of betraying him because she dares to care about Jack Abbott's life. It is classic Victor manipulation. He is stealing her money, drugging her, treating her like a pawn, and yet he plays the victim because she is upset that his corporate rival got stabbed by a psychopath. It is exhausting. It really is. I am so tired of seeing Nikki getting emotionally battered by this man. Any hope of them having a warm, fuzzy reunion? Yeah, that is completely dead in the water now. The spoilers hinted they might get close again, but after this, I just don't see how Nikki can look at him without feeling disgusted. But let's move over to the hospital, because we need to talk about Jack and Diane. Honestly, I am getting emotional just thinking about it. Jack and Diane have been through the absolute ringer lately. I mean, Diane was kidnapped. She was locked in a padded cell with bars on the windows by that creepy doctor, Lawrence Markham. She woke up disoriented, terrified, thinking she was losing her mind. And Jack? Jack was being blackmailed by Patty. Patty showed him a staged picture of Diane in that cell and literally demanded that Jack sleep with her to get Diane's location. She wanted to recreate the magic they had on the yacht years ago. Just gross. Completely gross and violating. Jack was out of his mind with worry, tearing the city apart to find his wife while fighting off Patty's sick advances. But somehow, they survived. Jack got stabbed, Diane got injected, but they are both alive. And the spoilers for Wednesday show them having this incredibly emotional reunion. They are going to see each other, probably bruised and bandaged and exhausted, and they are just going to fall into each other's arms. All the anger, all the resentment from the past few weeks, it just melts away. The misunderstandings about Jack and Nikki hugging, gone. The trauma of the blackmail, pushed aside for just a moment. Because when you almost die, you realize what actually matters. Jack realizes he almost lost the love of his life to a madwoman. Diane realizes Jack literally took a knife, enduring a horrific attack just to keep their family safe. It is going to be a real tearjerker, you guys. Grab your tissues. I know a lot of fans on social media are sick of Diane, and maybe I am too sometimes, but you have to admit they love each other. They really do. They have been through fake deaths, endless scheming, Phyllis trying to ruin their lives, and now this. If a literal stabbing doesn't tear them apart, nothing will. This near-death experience is going to bond them tighter than ever. I just hope Jack is actually okay. A stab wound to the stomach is no joke. But this is a soap opera, so he'll probably be back in his suit at Jabot by next Tuesday. Okay, maybe I'm being too harsh about the realism, but you get what I mean. The emotional payoff is going to be huge. Now we have to talk about the part of this episode that is making my blood boil. I am actually furious just typing this out. Let's talk about Kyle Abbott. Kyle. What in the actual world is he thinking? The spoilers reveal that Kyle is going to make a deal with the devil. And the devil's name is Patty Williams. Yes, you heard me correctly. Kyle Abbott is going to make a dangerous deal with Patty. Let's just pause and think about this for a second. Let's really break down the sheer, unfiltered stupidity of this decision. Patty Williams just stabbed his father. She just injected his mother with a mystery drug. She held his mother hostage in a terrifying room for weeks. She blackmailed his father for sex. And what does Kyle do? He doesn't call the police. He doesn't strangle Patty with his bare hands in a fit of rage. No. He sits down and makes a deal with her. Why? Because he wants to take down Victor Newman. Kyle is so blindly obsessed with this corporate feud, he is so desperate to hurt Victor and prove himself as a ruthless businessman, that he is willing to ally himself with a woman who just tried to murder his parents. It is repulsive. It is actually repulsive. I used to root for Kyle. I really did. I thought he was growing into a decent man. But this is unforgivable. How can he even look at himself in the mirror? How can he sit by his father's hospital bed, holding Jack's hand, knowing he just shook hands with the woman who put Jack in that bed? And let's not forget the bigger picture here. It's not just Jack and Diane who are suffering because of Patty. Patty and Dr. Markham just kidnapped Abby and Dominic. Ashley Abbott's daughter and infant grandson. Ashley was forced to come back from her peaceful life in Paris, and now she is literally going feral because she received a photo of her baby and her grandbaby being held captive by these psychopaths. Ashley is having a primal breakdown. She is screaming, crying, vowing absolute revenge. Dominic is just a baby, and Abby has already been through so much trauma in her life. For Patty and Dr. Markham to use them as leverage against Ashley is the sickest thing I've seen on this show in years. Ashley is a strong Abbott woman, She has survived Victor Newman himself. She built empires. But this is her breaking point. The entire Abbott family is under siege by Patty Williams. It is a full-on war. And Kyle is shaking hands with her. He is looking at this woman, this terrorist, who is currently holding his cousin and baby nephew hostage, and saying, yeah, let's work together to get Victor. I am losing my mind over this. Who actually believes this is going to end well? Does Kyle think he can control Patty? Patty is completely unhinged. She has been delusional for decades. She used plastic surgery to look like Emily Peterson. She poisoned Summer Newman years ago. She is a violent, unpredictable menace who lives in her own twisted reality. And Kyle thinks he can just use her as a pawn in a boardroom war against Victor Newman? It's beyond stupid. It's insulting to the viewer's intelligence. But you know what? It fits. It fits the pattern of these legacy kids thinking they are smarter than everyone else and then blowing up their own lives. Kyle is going to get burned. Badly. And honestly, he deserves it. When Jack finds out about this, and he will find out, because secrets never stay buried in Genoa City, Jack is going to disown him. I would. If my son made a deal with a woman who stabbed me and kidnapped my niece, he would be dead to me. There is no coming back from this kind of betrayal. Maybe I'm getting too worked up. Maybe there's a twist. Maybe Kyle is secretly wearing a wire. Maybe he is plotting to trap Patty and hand her over to the GCPD. No, the spoilers specifically say it's a desperate attempt to take down Victor and that his reckless alliance could have devastating consequences for everyone involved. So no, he's not playing 4D chess. He's not being a secret hero. He's just being an idiot. He is letting his hatred for Victor completely override his love and loyalty for his own flesh and blood. And where is Tracy in all this? Tracy Abbott is the only one with any sense left in that family. A few episodes ago, we saw Tracy literally pull Patty's hair and scream at her to get a confession. Tracy, the sweetest, most gentle woman in the world, had to resort to physical violence because the rest of the men in her family are useless. Tracy is a novelist. She's supposed to be the calm, rational one. But even she snapped. She dragged Patty through the mud to get the truth. She proved Diane was innocent in all this mess. Tracy is doing the heavy lifting to protect her family, while Kyle is playing junior mob boss and ruining everything. Tracy got the confession. She knows Patty stabbed Jack. And now Kyle is going behind Tracy's back, behind Jack's back, behind everyone's back, to play games with a murderer. It just makes me so mad. But it makes for great TV, I guess. I just don't see how the Abbott family survives this intact. The feud with Victor is one thing. That's business. That's ego. But this is blood. Kyle is crossing a line that you can't uncross. He is inviting the devil into his home because he is too blind to see the flames. And Victor? Victor is just sitting back at the ranch, watching the Abbotts destroy themselves from the inside out. Which is exactly what he wants. Victor doesn't even have to lift a finger to ruin Jack's life right now, because Kyle is doing it for him. It is the ultimate tragic irony. And poor Nikki is caught in the crossfire of all this toxic masculinity. She is losing her mind with these headaches. Her husband is robbing her blind and gaslighting her, and the man she used to love is bleeding out in a hospital. It is a dark, dark time in Genoa City. I don't know how the writers are going to untangle this massive web of chaos, but I am going to be glued to my screen watching them try. We have kidnappings, stabbings, corporate theft, medical abuse, and terrible, terrible decisions being made by men in expensive suits. And we still don't even know the full truth about Dr. Markham. Is he Martin Laurent in disguise? Is that why Sharon and Phyllis are starting to get pulled into this orbit? The layers to this story are just insane. So yeah, that is where we are at. Wednesday's episode is going to be an absolute roller coaster of emotions. We are going to get the heartwarming reunion of Jack and Diane, the explosive fight between Victor and Nikki, and the sickening betrayal of Kyle Abbott. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about all this. Am I being too hard on Kyle? Is there any redeeming him after this reckless deal? And do you think Jack and Diane are actually going to make it down the aisle after all this trauma? I need to go lie down and process all this. Thanks for reading my rant, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates, assuming my brain doesn't explode first.